Hello friends, welcome hipsters, flipsters, and finger popping daddies. Welcome to the Jazz Ranch. You know, we're in New England, there's no snow here. The horses are lounging around the pool. What's going on? Is this global warming or is it something else? Whatever it is, write to me please. But anyway, I have something I want to show you this evening, and it comes from my book, and it's talking about the A and the B form of voicings. Now, this is the first inversion and third inversion that are important for you to learn, and adding the upper structure chords, intervals into the chord. So, I'm going to be using it on a funk groove, and this is a little song I wrote. I'm calling it Down the Road. That's the name of the song. I named it. I just wrote it for this video. So if you like it, here we go with some left-hand voicings that you want to learn, and a song called Down the Road by the KH. Here we go. Starting out, now this is a little tune that I put together just very quickly. It's just mostly a vamp with a little melodic idea and then some chord changes. But I'm using it to illustrate what I call the A form and the B form. Now this is not anything new. This is something John Mahegan taught years ago in his books. But it's something that's essential that you learn as a jazz pianist, and that is to invert your left-hand chord voicing. So the first chord is D minor, so to invert it, there's your root position D minor 7. So it inverts up here to the first inversion. Then what happens, the rule that I use is take it up to the first inversion, which just means you're putting the bottom note on the top you know, taking second note from the bottom and putting it on the bottom now. You're just going up one inversion. Now you drop the root and add the ninth. So there's the first chord. Now when you have a bass player or you play the bass note, you hear that as a D minor 9. Now you're hearing a much better sounding chord than just D minor 7. You see it's much richer sounding, it's the better sound, it has the ninth in it. You want to put the upper extensions into your left hand in what we call rootless voicings. This is a rootless voicing now. There's no root in it, but the root is being played by the bass player on the backing track, or I can put it in there like that so you can hear it. So now the next chord, this is like a 1 to a 2 5. It's in the key of D minor. We're in the key of D minor 1 flat. So we had a key of F relative major. So the 2 chord now would normally be half diminished like that, and the 5 chord would be an A7 with a flat 9 probably, and then going to the D minor. But I'm doing something a little different in this tune. I'm going D minor 9, then I'm going E minor 9, and then I'm going to an A7 with a flat 9 and a sharp 5. You see, it's very comfortable in the hand there to go from there to here. You see? So now I'm building this melody off of that structure, which is 1 measure of D minor 9. Well, actually it's 2 measures if you're counting in cut time, which we're doing here in a funk groove. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Or like 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 3. So I'm going. Now actually I put a G7 there on the second, on the third beat. I put that in there just for variety, but basically it's the 1 chord to the 2 chord, then the 5, but the 2 chord has been altered. It has that F sharp, which is not in the scale of D minor, of course, but it's a little different sounding, so I like it. Okay, so the form of this tune is A-B. So the A section is just the D minor vamp, which in first inversion is the A form, D minor 9 to an E minor 9 to an A7 altered, or with a sharp 5 and a flat 9 there. So that's 16 measures. Now on the bridge, I'm going to go to the B form. Now that just means I'm taking the B flat minor 7. The first chord is B flat minor 7, so I'm going to take it from its root position up to the third inversion, or you can take it from the root position down 1 inversion if you like. You know, so to go up in inversions, you just put the bottom note on the top of the chord and come up 1. You know, you have to be sure you play every note correctly. Don't change any notes. Play all those 3 notes and then invert them up to the third inversion. Then what happens is you drop the root, add the 9th. See? So if you're taking it down, now you take that root position, you go down 1. You take the bottom note, put it on the top note, put it on the bottom, like that, and then you move the root over to the 9th, you see, because the root is going to be in the bass. So now you're going to get a richer sounding chord with that 9th in it. Notice that sounds not so good, but when you put it in the middle of the chord, it sounds great. Then we go to the E flat 7 with the 13. You see, that becomes the 13 there. Now it's a great sounding chord. Now you can do all these voicings, these what we call the B form voicings like this. You can go up there until they get, you know, maybe that's as far as you want to go, and then you go down. And that's as far as you want to go, and then you want to shift to the other position, which is the A form. You see, so each form has its sort of limitations and its advantages, so you have to move around, and that's what I did on this song. If you really watch this, you're going to see I used the B form here on the bridge, and I used the A form on the A section, or the first section of the song. And so I have an exercise for you written out in which you can go through the cycle of fifths using the 2 forms. Now I should mention that when I learned these techniques, I learned them on my own. I didn't get them from a teacher. Back in those days, we didn't have cell phones, we didn't have computers, we didn't even have answering machines. So the only way you could learn something is listen to a record or go out to a gig and watch a pianist play and try to figure out what he was doing. That's what we had to do. So that's how I had to learn these. But anyway, The amazing thing about these, and this is what I call economy of motion, and that's why I'm calling this video that, or subtitling it, economy of motions, because these voicings create economy of motion in such a way that you can go from the third inversion of the 2 chord to the first inversion of the 5 chord by just moving one note. That's economy of motion. You see? In other words, I'm retaining all the common tones here. So this is, if I'm looking at the 2 chord, B flat minor 7, this is the flatted 7th, this is the 9th, this is the minor 3rd, this is the 5th. Going to the E flat dominant 13th, this is the 3rd, this is the 13th here. It looks like the 6th, but it's the same as the 13th. The flat 7 and the 9 there. You see, so we have these great sounding voicings going from the 2-5 that have economy of motion, just little motion. Now we'll resolve it. We can resolve it here. We could even resolve it there if we wanted to, but I'm resolving it here, like that with it. With the 6-9. Now that's A flat, there's the 6th, there's the 9th, there's the 5th, you see. I can add the root there if I want to with the 3rd. I can do that or do that. See, that economy of motion is the key to it. Now it doesn't matter which inversion you're doing, if you're doing the 3rd or the 1st inversion. Let's take, well, we'll take E flat minor, right? Minor 7, flat 3, 5, flat 7, 9. Goes to the A flat 13 by just moving this one note down a half step. You know. Now you have the A flat, dominant 7th, 9th, 3rd, 13th up here. Then it can resolve like this. This one moves down a half step, this one stays the same. You can add that note, and this one moves down a whole step, and that resolves it to D flat major 9, or major. Actually, it has the 13th. Oh, it's the major, yeah, major 9, D flat. There's a 13th in there, and the 3rd and the 5th. Now, these are things you can figure out. You know, you're not going to get this right away, but like you'll figure these out. I'm showing you them, and this really works. And look at them on the sheet, study them in this video. Watch my video on how to replay things so you can wind them back and you can slow them down so you can see this. So here goes the economy of motion in the 3rd inversion. Here it is in the 1st inversion. You see? So like if I were to solo on this. Let me try that again. So at a certain point, after you practice these enough, you're going to be able to maneuver them throughout your chord progression, you know, like whatever it may be. Like, so let's take, I'm going to use them on All the Things You Are. But the basic thing is to get that left hand moving in throughout those inversions and those 2-5-1s in the 2 positions and in combinations of other things that we'll see later on. But just learn those to start. The 1st inversion and the 3rd inversion. This is the economy of motion principle. One other important point is these voicings, whether they're played in the left hand or the right hand, are still valid. In other words, they're still important if you're playing in an accompanying kind of framework or mode in which, you know, you're playing a bass line here, you're playing the chords in the right hand. Say you want to accompany and there's no bass player and you want to put a bass line down here. You can also use them this way to comp, you know. If there is a bass player and you want to comp behind a soloist, you can still use those voicings in the left hand and add things in the right hand like octaves and harmony notes, you know. You see? Or you can do it like this. there's a couple different varieties the way you can use these, but you can use them in either hand and they work really well. Okay, what I meant to point out in both of these sections, first two sections, is that when you're doing a 2-5, like a B flat minor 7 to an E flat 7, or it's a B flat minor 9 now to an E flat 13 with a ninth in it, what you're doing is you're going actually from the B form now to the A form, you see. So the B form is on the B flat minor 7, the 2 chord, and on the 5 chord you're having the A form. In other words, it alternates when you're doing cycle of fifths. If you're doing, you know, whole step movement or half step movement, it always stays in the same voicing. But if you're doing cyclical movement, it moves from one form to the other, from the A to the B or the B to the A. Now this is the most important thing you need to understand. So this is the B form. When I'm doing a cycle, it goes to the A form, which is the first inversion, you see. So the same thing applies to when I'm doing the D minor. I'm playing the A form to start, but when I go to the 2 chord, I'm playing A form, but when I go to its 5, now I'm playing the B form, you see. So what's happening there is I'm playing a D minor 9 to an E minor 9 and then an A7 altered. That A7 altered has the 7th on the bottom, which is the B form. Remember now, the A form has the 3rd on the bottom and the B form has the 7th on the bottom. So that's why they work in what you would call close movement. In other words, close voicings. In other words, where you're just moving half steps or whole steps to get to the next chord. And what I call economy of motion. So this is A form, B form, economy of motion, A form, you see. Now we'll go to B form on the bridge. B form on the bridge, right? Next chord is, it's related 5, like a 2-5, and that's the A form. So it starts on the B form, goes to the A form. Yeah, you have to look at this on the sheet to make sure you understand it clearly. But I want to talk a little bit about the YouTube, well, no, actually the Band in the Box program that I used and how I programmed it. I learned a few things, but it's not easy and it's not so great, but it's okay. Anyway, so I learned how to mute certain instruments so I wouldn't have a guitar in the middle section. I would have a piano and create variety in the two sections between the A section and B section. But also, I wanted to talk about the fact that after I listened to it, I had to realize that I have to give the track its own space. In other words, if you fill up too much and play too much, then the track doesn't really, you're not relating to the track. So you have to let some time, you know, hold some long tones and let the track just groove, you know, and try to sync up with it. So that's very important when you're playing with a backing track or whether you're playing with a rhythm section. You know, I really notice how certain players try to play too many notes, or they try to cover up all the space. You don't leave any space, and the rhythm section really doesn't have any space. When you leave more space, the rhythm section of the bass player and the drummer can really shine, and then you're going to sound better as a unit, you know, as a trio. And so that's something I've become very aware of, and I want to turn you on to it. So, like, listen for that. Listen to the way I played it and how I did that in my playing. How I allowed for the rhythm section to come out. I tried to do that, and I was trying to conscious of that. And you have to be conscious of it. You have to be aware of it and let it happen. You know, and it just amounts to relaxing and letting just things flow and creating some space in between all the notes you want to play. Because I know you want to play a lot of notes. So just do it that way, and I'm sure you'll see it's more satisfying. Now I want to show you in my book how I have these laid out. Now, these 2-5-1s in all positions, you need to learn these rootless voicings. If you're going to play in a band or play with a rhythm section, you want to learn, these are essential that you learn these, and you can get them from my website. I have them written out, but also in my book here you have them. This is chapter 20 of book 2, of volume 2, and you have the rootless voicings in the 2-5-1s, and it shows the 4 examples of the root position, first inversion, which is the A form here, second inversion, and the B form. And notice this is in a 3-ring binder, so it lies flat on the music stand, and you can take these pages out for easy photocopying. It's very practical that way. So here you have all the 2-5-1s in the A form. Now previously in the book we had the root position. So you have the A form here, which is the first inversion. Then you have the second inversion here, all the 2-5-1s drills that you need to learn. And then the third inversion, the B form, the 2-5-1s in every key. And then applied to a song, Moonlight in Vermont, the rootless voicing. So it's very practical how I've laid this out for you. Signing off from the Jazz Ranch. I hope you enjoyed this. Please write to me. If you have questions about the A form or the B form, please check out my book. Covers all of that, plus examples and songs you can play using the techniques. And I'm sorry about the lack of snow for the skiers in particular. But anyway, we're enjoying it here. And until next time, I'll say, write to me, and please don't forget to swing loose. And we'll see you next time around. Bye-bye.